You've probably felt it. That moment when someone you just met starts opening up about their pain, not because you asked, not because you said anything profound, but because something about your presence disarms them, almost as if their soul recognizes that it's finally safe to let go. That's not coincidence. That's your aura doing the work long before your words ever arrive. As your energetic field evolves, it begins to operate like a tuning fork, vibrating at a frequency high enough to stir the shadows in others. Without even trying, your aura starts to act like a purifier, lifting emotional weight from people who don't even understand why they feel lighter when they walk away from you. But here's the truth. It's not always gentle. Because what you're experiencing is the first sign that your aura is becoming something extraordinary, something most people aren't equipped to interpret. You're not just on a healing journey, you've become the healer, even when you never asked to be. When someone stands near you, they're standing near an energetic mirror, and when that mirror is pure, it reflects every crack, every wound, every suppressed emotion. Not everyone wants to see that reflection. So some people will distance themselves, others will cling to you without knowing why. Either way, you've stepped into a new reality, one where your mere presence activates others. You've likely noticed this happening more often. People cry after spending time with you, or they say things like, "I feel like I've known you forever," even though you've barely exchanged names. That's not personality, that's frequency. Your aura is stretching beyond the physical, touching places in others that even they have forgotten how to reach. And as your aura intensifies, it doesn't just touch people, it starts to interfere with your environment. Have your electronics started acting strange lately? Phones freezing for no reason, Wi-Fi flickering, lights dimming as you walk by. Maybe you've had devices crash right when you're deep in a moment of clarity or emotion. That's not random. That's resonant. Your energy field is amplifying to such a degree that it's disrupting the delicate balance of technology. Think of it like a magnetic pulse. When your internal frequency surges, it can override the subtle electromagnetic currents that power your devices. And it's not just a spiritual theory. Ancient mystics and modern science are finally beginning to converge on the idea that your biofield, your aura, is an active dynamic force. It's not metaphorical, it's measurable. And when it becomes strong enough, it starts affecting things beyond your control. But maybe you've noticed something even more strange. You no longer feel like an emotional sponge. You used to walk into a room and absorb everyone's energy like it was your job. You'd leave drained, foggy, sometimes even anxious for reasons you couldn't explain. But now you walk into a room and the energy changes instead. That's sovereignty. That's the shift from being a receiver to becoming a transmitter. Your aura has graduated. You're no longer unconsciously matching the emotions of others. You're shaping them. People start to regulate themselves around you. The angry quiet down. The chaotic grow still. You may not even realize it at first, but your field is broadcasting calm, clarity, depth, and not everyone can handle that. That's why some people might start avoiding you, not because they dislike you, but because your frequency makes them confront their own noise. Some will feel exposed, unsettled, like they're standing in too much truth, even when you've said nothing at all. And here's where things get even more mysterious. As your aura ascends, certain people can't even perceive you anymore. It sounds like science fiction, but it's been documented across countless spiritual paths. Those operating on lower frequencies, wrapped in ego and projection, will begin to overlook you entirely. You'll walk into a space and they simply won't acknowledge you, not because you're not there, but because their reality doesn't have the bandwidth to register your vibration. It's as if you've become spiritually invisible. And you'll know it when it happens. You'll notice that toxic people stop reaching out. Old connections with heavy energy begin to fall away, not with drama, but with silence. You'll find yourself in rooms where the usual tension no longer touches you, where gossip and judgment seem to pass right through you. like smoke with no place to cling. This isn't rejection, it's alignment. Your aura is no longer compatible with density. Even time begins to shift around you. Hours might pass like minutes, or the opposite. Moments might stretch into eternity, filled with synchronicities that defy logic. You'll forget things that used to weigh on you. You'll misplace objects that no longer serve you. You might even experience déjà vu more often, as if your soul is tapping you on the shoulder, reminding you that you've been here before, just not in this body. These distortions aren't glitches, they're indicators. Time, memory, and physical space are all bending to the field you're emanating. An aura so coherent it starts to slip through the cracks of linear reality. And in this space, you begin to notice something else. You're attracting people who feel like soul family, rapidly. You meet someone, and within minutes it feels like you've known them for lifetimes. Conversations go deeper than surface talk. There's resonance, there's remembrance. And they don't come into your life randomly. They come because your aura called them. You become magnetic not just to people, but to opportunities, to clarity, to healing. Your energy starts arranging your outer world to match your inner vibration. And just like that, you're no longer chasing alignment, you are alignment. But this power, it's not always comfortable, because the more potent your aura becomes, the more you become a trigger. You won't even mean to, but you'll awaken something dormant in others. Sometimes they'll thank you, other times they'll lash out, not because you've harmed them, but because you've stirred what they've been avoiding. You've become a mirror, and mirrors are sacred. But they are also feared. When you reach this level of energetic presence, it's no longer about what you say or do, it's about who you've become. Your very existence becomes a transmission. You walk into a space and without speaking a word, the vibration begins to shift. People look at you and feel something move inside of them, something ancient, something unspoken. And the truth is, many won't understand what's happening. They'll mistake their own discomfort as your intensity. They might say you're too much, too quiet, too deep, but what they're really saying is your aura touched something they've been trying to hide. You've become a catalyst, and catalysts don't come into people's lives to make them comfortable. You come to rearrange the energy, to illuminate what's been buried, to pull truth from the shadows and hold it in the light without flinching. And while this may sound mystical, even otherworldly, it shows up in the most ordinary ways. A glance that lingers too long, a conversation that unexpectedly turns raw, a silence that feels louder than words. These are the new languages you're beginning to speak, the language of energy, the communication of vibration. You no longer need validation because your field confirms itself. You don't need to prove your power because real power never explains, it simply is. But there's something you need to know. Not everyone will celebrate this awakening. Some will try to pull you back into smaller versions of yourself. They'll remind you of who you used to be, not because they care, but because your evolution threatens the comfort of their stagnation. You'll sense the subtle distance in friendships that once felt close. You'll feel the discomfort in family members who can't quite put a finger on why you seem different. You may even begin to question yourself, wonder if maybe you're imagining all of this. But you're not. Your aura is growing stronger because your soul has outgrown the stories that once contained you. You're not here to stay the same. You're here to evolve, to stretch, to embody a frequency so high it no longer makes sense to fit into spaces built for the old version of you, and the universe responds. You'll begin to notice how reality reshapes itself around your inner state. When your aura reaches a certain level of coherence, it acts like a gravitational field. You'll draw experiences that reflect your clarity and repel anything misaligned with your truth. This is not magic, it's resonance. Like attracts like. Vibration responds to vibration. Suddenly, things you used to chase begin to chase you, not because of effort, but because of alignment. You're no longer creating from scarcity, you're allowing from abundance. And this shift changes everything. You'll see it in your timing. The right people show up exactly when you're ready. The conversation you needed to hear plays on a passing radio. You think of someone and they call. You let go of control and life flows to meet you. This isn't coincidence. This is coherence. The more integrated your energy becomes, the more synchronized your external world will feel. And yet, with great light comes great responsibility. Because a powerful aura not only heals, it exposes. You'll find yourself being the one people come to in their moments of crisis. You'll be the anchor when the storm hits. And while you may be tempted to carry others through their pain, you'll also learn a deeper truth. You are not responsible for anyone's transformation but your own. You can be the lighthouse, but you cannot swim for them. This is where the strength of your aura must be matched by the strength of your boundaries. Not the kind that shuts people out, but the kind that honors your energy as sacred. You'll learn that saying no is not rejection, it's protection. That rest is not laziness, it's preservation. You'll stop justifying your distance, your silence, your solitude. Because you'll realize that solitude is not emptiness, it's where your aura recalibrates. And in that space, you'll hear things you used to drown out. Your intuition will become louder than your logic. Your body will speak in sensations, chills, inner knowings that arrive before reason. You'll start to feel the truth of things before they unfold. You won't need explanations. You'll feel the alignment or the misalignment in your bones. And it will feel like magic. Because it is. Not the kind with wands and spells, but the ancient, sacred kind. The kind that awakens in those who walk through fire and rise without bitterness. The kind that can't be taught, only remembered. You've likely felt this remembering in the moments where time stood still, in the goosebumps that arrived with no warning, in the dreams that felt like memories, in the conversations that unlocked something ancient inside of you. These are the echoes of your essence. And your aura is the amplifier. As it expands, it pulls you into synchronicity with everything that matches your soul. You'll start to live from the inside out. You'll stop chasing and begin receiving. You'll stop reacting and begin responding. And life will feel less like something you endure and more like something you dance with. But it's not always easy. There will be days when your aura feels heavy, when the weight of your sensitivity feels like a burden instead of a blessing, when the world feels too loud, too chaotic, too fast. On those days, you'll need to remember, your energy is not meant to match the world. It's meant to recalibrate it. So ground yourself. Breathe deeply. Connect with the earth, with water, with silence. Let your aura reset. You are not broken, you are becoming. And becoming is not always graceful. It's messy. It's sacred. It's necessary. As your aura strengthens, so will your clarity. You'll begin to see who is truly for you, and who is simply attached to the old version of you. You'll let go of relationships that once defined you, not with anger, but with peace. Because you'll know, when your aura rises, some people will fall away. Not because they're bad, but because they can't breathe at the altitude you're climbing to. And that's okay. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to embody truth, to hold frequency, to walk as light, even when it feels like walking alone. You'll notice the silence between your words becoming louder, the pauses in your conversations holding more weight than what's being said. That's because your aura is speaking even when your mouth is not. Energy becomes your first language, and words become a tool rather than a necessity. You'll find yourself reading rooms before you even enter them, sensing tension before it's spoken, knowing the truth before it's revealed. And it's not paranoia, it's perception. Your perception is expanding because your aura is no longer confined to the space around your body. It's reaching beyond it, stretching into timelines, possibilities, dimensions that once felt like dreams. You'll start to experience this as intuition, but it's deeper than that. It's remembrance. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something eternal. And with that remembering comes responsibility, because as your aura strengthens, you begin to awaken things in other people, things they've buried, suppressed, denied. Sometimes they'll thank you, sometimes they'll walk away without a word, but no matter the reaction, something inside them has shifted, and you were the catalyst. That's the paradox of high-frequency presence. It attracts light, and it also stirs shadows. But you are not here to fix people. That's not your purpose. You're here to radiate truth so powerfully that others are inspired to remember their own. That's all. You're not here to carry everyone. You're here to stand in your light and let it ripple. And yes, it's going to be misunderstood. Some will call you intense. Others will call you distant. But the ones meant for you, the ones who are ready, will call you home. You'll feel that shift. You'll feel it in your chest, in your solar plexus, in the subtle magnetism between you and others who vibrate like you do. These connections won't feel like introductions. They'll feel like reunions. No masks, no pretense, just energy recognizing energy. These people won't drain you. They'll ignite you. And that's how you'll know you've crossed into a new chapter of your evolution. When the aura strengthens, it begins to reject anything that compromises its integrity. Old coping mechanisms fall apart. Habits that numbed you suddenly feel intolerable. Environments that once felt familiar begin to feel suffocating. Not because anything is wrong, but because your frequency has changed. And once your frequency changes, your entire reality begins to rearrange itself to match. This is the moment where you start to lose things, but not because you're being punished. You lose the job that no longer aligns, the relationship that no longer nurtures, the identity that no longer reflects you, and it feels like collapse until you realize it's clearing the way for what's real, for what's true, for what your aura has been calling in since the moment it began to awaken. There's something sacred about this stage, because you begin to release with grace. Not everything needs to end in a fight. Not every departure needs closure. You learn to let go without explanation, to trust without evidence, to walk away without resentment. That's how strong your energy becomes. It no longer needs validation, it just knows. And knowing, that is the gift of an evolved aura. You begin to know things without knowing how you know them. You meet someone and feel their truth beneath their words. You walk into a room and sense the weight of what's unspoken. You hear a compliment and feel the insecurity it's masking. You hear a criticism and sense the pain it's projecting. You're not guessing, you're sensing. You're not judging, you're reading. Because your aura is no longer just a field of light. It's a radar, a scanner, a shield, a transmitter. It's alive, it's intelligent, and it's in constant dialogue with the energy around you. And yes, it's exhausting at times, but it's also a superpower. One that you were born to carry but only now remembering how to wield. You'll learn how to protect it, how to nourish it, how to expand it without leaking. You'll learn that not every energy deserves access to yours. That discernment is not judgment, it's clarity, and clarity is love in action. Because you can love someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone and still choose distance. You can hold space for someone's pain and still honor your own peace. That's what happens when your aura matures. You stop performing compassion and start embodying it. Not as a performance, not as a role, but as a frequency. You are the frequency. They are from their frequency. And as you live from that frequency, you begin to create from it. You'll notice how your intentions begin to manifest faster, how the people you need appear exactly when you're ready, how you begin to feel guided by something unseen but unmistakable. You'll find feathers where you need encouragement, numbers where you need answers, and you'll stop doubting the signs because your aura knows there were never accidents. They were responses. Responses to your alignment, your focus, your vibration. And with this, you stop striving. You stop forcing. You start allowing. You start flowing. not passively but powerfully, not through apathy but through alignment. You begin to realize that your job is not to control everything. Your job is to keep your energy clear, your heart open, and your soul rooted in truth. Because when you do that, everything that matches your frequency finds you. And that's when life starts to feel magical. Not because it suddenly becomes perfect, but because you begin to see the perfection that was always there. Beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the illusion, your aura becomes your compass, and you begin to trust it more than the voices around you. Because deep down, you know, your energy doesn't lie. It's not always loud, it's not always visible, but it's always true. And when your aura reaches a certain level of strength, it starts to carry the essence of truth itself. That's why it shakes people. That's why it heals people. That's why it can't be ignored. Even when others don't understand it, you don't have to prove it. You just have to embody it. You don't have to convince anyone. You just have to live it. Because those who are meant to feel you will. And when they do, they won't just see you. They'll remember you. It's not about being seen in the usual way anymore. You're no longer trying to stand out in a crowd. In fact, some days you disappear from it entirely. You're not invisible because you're shrinking. You're invisible because you're vibrating at a frequency most can't yet perceive. And the higher you go, the fewer people can follow. Not because they aren't worthy, but because their path hasn't yet reached this altitude. And that's okay. You start to feel it as a pulling away. Not out of arrogance, but out of resonance. Old friendships begin to fade, not with anger, but with understanding. Certain conversations no longer interest you, certain rooms no longer feel like home. And it's not loneliness, it's preparation. Because in the spaces left behind, something new begins to enter. Something sacred, something true. That's where your aura begins to teach you discernment. Not the kind of judgment based on opinions, but a deeper knowing that speaks without language. You'll find yourself smiling at things you would have once argued with, walking away from battles you used to feel obligated to win, letting go of control in places where your energy once clung too tightly, not because you don't care, but because you've grown. Your aura has become wise, and with that wisdom comes peace. And this peace, it isn't loud. It's the peace that lets you sit in silence and feel full. The kind that doesn't need to explain itself, that doesn't need applause or recognition, because your validation no longer comes from being understood. It comes from being aligned. It comes from knowing, in your bones, that you are living from a place most people only touch in glimpses. And still, it's not a pedestal, it's a path. A path of remembering, shedding, unbecoming everything you were taught to be, so that you could finally return to who you've always been. You were never meant to be like everyone else. That's not a flaw, it's a function. You're not here to blend in, you're here to elevate, to awaken, to activate. And you do it not through pressure, but through presence. When your aura becomes powerful, your silence becomes louder than your voice. Your gaze becomes a form of communication. Your stillness becomes a force. People may not always know how to name what they feel around you, but they'll feel it. They'll remember something about themselves they'd forgotten. They'll become aware of emotions they hadn't processed. And sometimes that makes them uncomfortable because your energy says it's time. It's time to rise. To face, to heal, to awaken, and not everyone is ready for that. But you are. That's why your aura is growing. That's why you've been feeling more, releasing more, shedding more. It's not because you're breaking, it's because you're breaking through. There is a version of you that's been waiting beyond the veil of your current reality. A version not bound by fear or conditioning. A version that lives from soul, not survival, from intention, not impulse, from light, not limitation. And as your aura strengthens, that version starts to come alive. You'll feel it in your body, tingling in your hands, warmth in your heart, a quiet pulse in your forehead. You'll feel it in your sleep. Dreams that feel like initiations, symbols you can't quite explain, moments that leave you breathless. You'll wake up with messages, visions, feelings that didn't exist the day before, and you won't need proof because you are the proof. You'll stop seeking signs outside of yourself because the most powerful ones will come from within. A sudden pull to go somewhere, a knowing that you need to rest, a whisper that tells you it's time to leap. You'll start trusting those nudges even when they don't make logical sense. Because you've learned that logic is a tool, not a compass. Your compass is frequency, and when your aurora's aligned, it leads you to everything meant for you. And when you follow that frequency, miracles unfold. Not the kind that scream for attention, the quiet kind. The kind that rearranges your life behind the scenes. The text that arrives when you're about to give up. The opportunity that falls into your lap when you finally let go. The door that opens when you stop forcing. These aren't random. They're the result of energetic precision. Your aura is sending signals constantly, and the university's always listening. You become the signal. You become the clarity in a world clouded by noise. And that's why you must protect your clarity, not from fear, but from dilution. You no longer have the luxury of being reckless with your energy. You can't consume content that drains you. You can't entertain relationships that deplete you. You can't say yes out of guilt or fear. You are sacred ground now. And sacred ground requires reverence. You'll start to live differently. Speak less, listen more, move slower, love deeper. You'll stop chasing and begin allowing. Stop controlling and begin trusting. Stop reacting and begin observing. Because your aura doesn't rush, it radiates. And when you radiate, life rises to meet you. You'll attract experiences that feel like prayers answered. Not always easy, but always aligned. And when the hard moments come, and they will, you'll face them differently. You'll know they're not punishments, they're recalibrations. You'll breathe through them instead of resisting. You'll extract the lesson instead of repeating the cycle, because you've done the inner work. You've sat with the discomfort. You've held yourself in the silence. And now, your aura holds that memory. That's why others feel safe around you, even when they don't know why. That's why strangers open up, why children are drawn to you, why animals sense your presence before you even move. It's because you've become a lighthouse. A signal in the dark, a frequency that whispers, you're not alone. But remember this. Being a lighthouse doesn't mean you never need light. It doesn't mean you're invincible. It means you know where your power comes from. It means you've built something unshakable inside of you. And even when you flicker, you don't go out. Even when the storm comes, you remain. That's the real power of a strong aura. Not that it never wavers, but that it always returns. And every time it returns, it comes back brighter. So don't shrink when your light makes others squint. Don't apologize when your truth makes others uncomfortable. Don't dim when your presence wakes others up. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be divine. And divine energy doesn't seek permission, it just is. You just are. And when you begin to live from that truth, something incredible happens. You stop questioning your path. You stop looking over your shoulder to see if you're doing it right. You stop measuring your progress by the pace of others. Because your energy speaks a language only your soul understands. And your soul doesn't move in straight lines. It spirals, it expands, it contracts, it pauses, and you learn to trust that rhythm more than the external noise trying to rush you. There will be moments where the world tells you you're falling behind, where others will question why you're pulling away, slowing down, going inward. But inside, you'll know. You'll feel the quiet bloom of alignment, the subtle hum of rightness, the kind of peace that doesn't need to be explained. And you'll learn that real progress is not about how fast you move, but about how aligned you are when you do. Your aura teaches you presence. Because when your energy becomes this powerful, the future doesn't pull you anymore, and the past doesn't grip you. You begin to live inside each moment fully. You listen differently. You breathe more deeply. You speak with more care. You become aware of the ripple of every action, every thought, every intention, not out of fear, but out of reverence, because you finally understand that everything is energy, every choice is vibration, every emotion a signal. And when you live like this, you start to notice how sensitive your field becomes. It craves honesty, integrity, depth. You can no longer tolerate surface-level conversations, half-hearted connections, or anything that feels like a performance. You don't need everyone to be like you, but you do need them to be real, because your aura doesn't respond to roles, it responds to truth. And when that truth is missing, your body will tell you before your mind does. You'll feel tired for no reason, anxious in places you used to feel fine, restless in conversations that once entertained you. That's not you being dramatic. That's your aura protecting itself. That's your field rejecting distortion. And the more you listen, the more your body becomes your guide. Your body becomes your compass, and your aura becomes the map, and what that map leads you to is sovereignty. Not the kind the world teaches, but the spiritual kind. The kind that says, I don't need to belong everywhere. I don't need to explain myself to be understood. I don't need to be liked to be powerful. Because I am already whole, already enough, already home inside myself. And when you carry that energy, you stop looking for someone to save you. You stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for the external world to reflect your worth back to you, because you've remembered who you are, not just mentally, not just spiritually, but energetically. Your field becomes the living evidence of your evolution. It moves before you, speaks before you, paves the way for what's meant to find you. And yes, this can be isolating at times. When your frequency rises, it's natural to feel a bit alone. But that's not because you're disconnected. It's because you're being recalibrated, realigned, reattuned to a new way of existing. And in that quiet space, something beautiful begins to emerge, your higher timeline. The version of your life that's built not from fear, not from obligation, but from resonance. And everything in it, every person, every opportunity, every experience matches your new frequency. That's why the old had to fall away. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something right. You chose truth over comfort, growth over familiarity, alignment over approval. And that choice rewired your entire energetic blueprint. You are not who you were. You don't think the same. You don't feel the same. You don't react the same. And even when others try to pull you back into old patterns, they'll find there's no longer a hook to hold on to, because you've cleared it, you've outgrown it, and your aura doesn't carry those old imprints anymore. That's how powerful this work is. You're not just healing your mind, you're reprogramming your entire energetic signature. You're shedding lifetimes of patterns, beliefs, contracts that no longer serve your soul's expansion. And each time you do, your aura becomes clearer, brighter, more magnetic, not because you're doing more, but because you're becoming less of what you're not, less pleasing, less performing, less pretending. And in that less, you become more light, more presence, more truth, and others will feel it. They won't always know what they're feeling, but they'll feel drawn to you, or repelled by you, inspired by you, or triggered by you. It won't be personal. It will be energetic. Your presence will start to function as an activator, and in a world that's asleep, anything that awakens is bound to shake things up. So let it. Let your aura disrupt the patterns. Let your energy challenge the illusion. Let your presence be a reminder that there's another way to live, a deeper, freer, more aligned way. You don't have to shout it. You don't have to prove it. You only have to embody it. Because embodiment is the final form of mastery. When your knowing becomes being, when your belief becomes behavior, when your energy becomes your language, this is the moment your aura stops being something you have and becomes something you are. It's not outside of you, it's not something you need to create. It's who you've always been. Layer by layer, memory by memory, choice by choice, you're remembering it, you're reclaiming it. And the more you do, the more you become a beacon for others who are ready to do the same. You don't have to save them. You only have to shine. Because when you shine, others begin to remember their own life. Not because you taught them, but because you reminded them, not with your words, but with your frequency. You've entered a new chapter of your evolution, one where energy is the teacher, one where your aura writes the story before your actions do, and that story, it's just beginning. You'll start to notice that life doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you radiate. And your radiance isn't something you put on, it's something that rises from within when your energy is in harmony with your truth. That's the real glow people talk about. It's not skin deep, it's soul deep. It's the quiet shine of someone who no longer betrays themselves to be accepted, who no longer lowers their frequency to feel safe. And that kind of glow can't be dimmed. It doesn't flicker based on someone else's validation. It doesn't waver just because others don't understand. It holds steady, like a flame that's been through storms and still burns with purpose. You've become that flame. And it's not something that happened overnight. This transformation has taken time, pain, release, grief, awakening. You've had to walk through shadows you didn't want to face. You've had to sit in silence that felt unbearable. You've had to lose parts of yourself that you thought you couldn't live without, but through all of that, you were being initiated, refined, forged, not broken, reborn. Because what emerges from that fire is something that can't be taught. It can only be lived. You start to carry wisdom in your energy. People feel it without needing to know your story. They sense it in your stillness, in your gaze, in the way you hold space without trying to fix. You've stopped performing, and in that space of authenticity, your presence becomes medicine, not the kind that forces, the kind that invites. You're not here to push people into awakening. You're here to show what's possible when someone chooses to return to themselves. You're here to walk as an example of what healing, alignment, and energetic integrity looks like. And when you do, others are drawn to that frequency. Not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. Clarity is magnetic. When your aura is clean, coherent, and aligned, people can feel it before you even say a word. And for some, that's deeply comforting. For others, it's confronting. Because your clarity makes their confusion obvious. Your peace makes their chaos louder. Your presence highlights what they've been avoiding. And while some will try to match your energy, others will try to escape it. Let them. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be true to yourself. That's the sacred path your aura has carved. One of devotion, not distraction. One of presence, not performance. One where the external world no longer defines your worth, because your inner world is finally whole. And when you live from that place, you stop negotiating your boundaries. You stop explaining your value. You stop chasing anything that doesn't return to you in truth. Because your aura knows, and you've learnt to trust it. That trust becomes your superpower. You don't need to wait for confirmation. You don't need someone else to approve your decisions. You don't need signs that scream. The signs now come in whispers, in sensations, in the subtle yes that blooms in your chest, in the quiet no that contracts in your belly. You've learned to listen to your energy like it's an ancient language. And it is. It's the language your soul has been speaking long before you were taught words, and now you're fluent. That fluency changes everything. You begin to move with precision. You speak only when it adds value. You rest without guilt. You create from overflow. You release without resistance. Because your aura has become not just a reflection of your healing, but a blueprint for your becoming. And in your becoming, you've started to dissolve the old definitions. You're no longer confined by roles, no longer identified with titles. You are not who you were taught to be. You are who you remember being, a soul in a body, radiating light, walking the earth with a mission that may not make sense to others, but burns with clarity inside of you. And that's enough. You've let go of the need to prove it. You don't need to convince anyone of your path. You're not here to debate your journey. You're here to live it, fully, unapologetically, reverently. And your aura makes that declaration without you saying a word. It carries the essence of everything you've let go of and everything you've claimed. It holds your boundaries, your truth, your presence. It's your silent anthem, and it's powerful beyond words. So when people say they feel something around you, believe them. When they say they dreamed of you, or felt your energy days after you met, or couldn't stop thinking about your presence, believe them. Your aura travels, your frequency lingers, your light leaves imprints. That's the power of someone living in alignment. They don't just pass through the world, they shift it. You're not just shifting others, you're shifting timelines. With every boundary you hold, with every truth you speak, with every moment you choose presence over reaction, you alter the course of your life. You move into new dimensions of possibility. You open portals of potential that didn't exist in your old vibration. You become the architect of a new reality. And it shows, not just in your energy, but in your life. The way things align for you. The way your intuition guides you before you even understand why. The way you no longer chase what you once begged for. Because you're no longer vibrating from lack. You're vibrating from truth, from embodiment, from remembrance. And that remembrance is what the world is aching for. So don't shrink. Don't water it down. Don't edit your presence to make others comfortable. Your energy isn't here to be digested. It's here to be felt, to be remembered, to awaken what's been dormant. And yes, that might be uncomfortable at times, for you and for others. But that's the cost of authenticity. That's the weight of becoming who you really are. You carry that weight now with grace, not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. You've stopped living for applause. You've stopped performing for love. You've started anchoring your life in something deeper, something eternal. And every step you take now is encoded with the memory of your essence. That is the gift of a powerful aura. It doesn't demand, it reminds. It doesn't push, it invites. It doesn't beg, it attracts. You've become a living invitation, a reminder of what's possible, a mirror of truth in a world addicted to illusion. And the world may not always be ready, but you are. You're ready, because you've remembered that your energy is your message. Your aura is your signature. Your presence is your offering. You've stopped chasing impact with effort and started creating impact through embodiment. That's why people feel you before they hear you. That's why the atmosphere shifts when you enter a space. That's why even in silence, your essence speaks volumes. And this shift you've made, it's not temporary. It's not a phase. It's not a fleeting high from a book or a retreat or a full moon ritual. This is rooted. This is encoded. This is your new default setting. You're not reaching for it anymore. You've become it. The alignment you once had to fight for now lives in your cells. The peace you once chased now flows in your breath. The power you once doubted is now woven into your gaze, your stillness, You've become the proof of your own transformation. You are no longer a seeker, you are a rememberer. And in remembering, you've stepped into a space where external rules no longer apply. Time bends around you. Synchronicities dance at your feet. Opportunities meet you where you stand. Because you're no longer vibrating from separation. You're vibrating from wholeness. And wholeness always attracts more of itself. That's why you've been feeling a shift in your relationships. You've started calling in people who feel like mirrors, not masks. People who speak your language without needing translation. People who see your soul before they try to impress your personality. These aren't coincidences. These are calibrations. The universe is matching your frequency, and it's not just people, It's ideas, resources, healing, timelines. It's as if the things you used to force are now flowing to you without strain, because they are. This is what happens when your aura becomes coherent. It becomes a tuning fork for destiny. It begins to vibrate so purely that only truth can stay. Anything false begins to crumble. Anything misaligned begins to fall away. And though it may feel like loss at first, you'll see it for what it is. Refinement, not punishment, not rejection, just resonance doing its sacred work. And that resonance, it's precise. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't compromise. It calls you higher, again and again, asking you to embody more of your truth each day. And you answer that call not with perfection, but with presence. You show up. You stay open. You keep aligning, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because your aura is no longer just a field of energy. It's a vessel for evolution. It holds your grief and your wisdom, your rage and your compassion, your shadow and your light, all of it, without needing to split it apart, without needing to hide any of it. That's what makes it magnetic. It's not perfect, it's real, it's whole, and wholeness is irresistible to the soul. You're not afraid of your intensity anymore. You've stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. You've stopped filtering your truth to fit into containers that were never meant for you. You've realized that not everyone can meet you where you are, and that's not your failure. That's their path, and their path isn't yours to carry. You've come too far to dim now, too far to apologize for your frequency, too far to explain your clarity to those still addicted to confusion. You're not here to convince anyone of your light. You're here to shine, and in that shining you give others permission to rise. You become the silent lighthouse, guiding others back to themselves, not with force, not with noise, but with presence. That's the paradox of a powerful aura. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply is, and in that being, it alters everything. You'll start to notice the world responding differently. You'll begin to feel how your thoughts crystallize faster, how your words land deeper, how your energy speaks for you before you enter the room. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's what happens when you stop leaking your energy through self-doubt, through people-pleasing, through false identities. You've reclaimed your energy. You've pulled it back from every place you once gave it away carelessly, every old version of you that traded authenticity for approval, every past timeline where you played small because it felt safer, every memory where you said yes when your soul was screaming no. You've gathered those fragments, you've called your power home, and now you radiate from fullness. This is why you've felt more sensitive lately, not because you're weaker, but because your field is cleaner. When your aura is clear, you feel everything. You sense the shifts before they happen. You catch the lies in the silence. You feel the heaviness in a smile. You notice the energy behind the words, and while that can feel overwhelming, it's also a gift. Because that sensitivity is sacred perception, and sacred perception allows you to navigate life with grace. It helps you move away from what's no longer aligned before it becomes chaos. It allows you to release relationships before they become prisons. It guides you toward truth without needing drama to force your hand. Your aura is your oracle now, and it doesn't lie. It will tell you when something is meant for you, not with logic, but with resonance. You'll feel the yes rise in your body before your mind can make sense of it. You'll feel the no tighten in your chest before any red flag appears. That's how finely tuned your system has become. That's how sacred your alignment is, and you're learning to trust it more than anything else. Because that trust is what keeps your aura strong. That trust is what makes your energy feel like home, not just to you, but to others. People will walk into your field and feel their nervous system begin to regulate. They won't know why, but they'll feel safe. Not because you said the right thing, but because your energy doesn't carry the chaos of someone pretending. You're not pretending anymore. You're living. You're breathing from your truth, speaking from your soul, walking from your knowing. And the more you do, the more the universe rearranges itself to support you, not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. And alignment is the most powerful magnet in existence. So breathe it in. This is your new frequency. This is what it feels like to walk as the most radiant, most embodied version of yourself. Not later, now. Now that you're vibrating at this level, you're starting to realize that life isn't happening to you, it's responding to you. Everything is feedback, every delay, every detour, every silence is a mirror, showing you where your frequency is and what it's calling in. And instead of reacting like you used to, you pause. You feel, you listen, because you've come to understand that your aura is in conversation with the universe long before you take action. And what you used to call coincidences, you now recognize as confirmations. It's that number that keeps showing up. That song lyric you needed to hear. That random conversation that answers the question you've been carrying. They're not accidents. They're echoes of your energy. They're evidence that what you're aligned with is already on its way. Because your aura is a broadcast tower. And the stronger it becomes, the clearer your signal gets. And when your signal is clear, what you desire finds you faster. But it's not just about manifestation anymore. It's deeper than that. You've evolved past wanting things just for the sake of having them. You've stopped chasing outcomes and started chasing resonance. How does it feel in your body? Does it expand you or contract you? Does it feel rooted in peace or drenched in anxiety? You don't need to analyze it. You feel it. And that feeling tells you everything. You've stopped asking, is this right? And started asking, is this true for me? That's how your aura makes decisions now. Not through logic alone, but through energetic truth, through inner knowing, through alignment that can't be explained but can absolutely be trusted. And that trust has changed everything. You no longer fear letting go. You no longer cling to what's familiar. Because you've seen firsthand what happens when you make space. When you clear out the old, the dense, the misaligned, you don't just create emptiness, you create a vortex, an opening, an invitation for something greater to arrive. And it does. The more you honor your energy, the more life honors your boundaries. The more you choose peace, the more peace chooses you back. And you'll notice that the tests don't stop, but your reaction to them does. What used to knock you over now barely moves you. What used to drain you now teaches you. You see lessons where you used to see punishment, growth where you used to see loss. You've trained your energy to transmute, to alchemize, to evolve. And now your aura doesn't just protect you, it elevates you. People feel that, even those who can't name it. They feel steadier around you. They feel seen. They feel their own clarity returning, not because you gave them anything, but because your energy gave them permission to access their own. That's the quiet magic of a powerful aura. It doesn't just serve you, it serves everyone it touches. And yet, you don't owe that to anyone. You've learned that being magnetic doesn't mean being available. You've learned that holding light doesn't mean holding everyone's pain. You've learned that compassion doesn't mean self-sacrifice. Your aura is not a resource to be drained, it's a sanctuary. And sanctuaries require boundaries. You no longer allow energy vampires to plug into you. You no longer entertain conversations that spiral into chaos. You no longer abandon your peace to rescue someone from their own patterns. Best not unkindness. That's energetic integrity. Because when you respect your aura, you teach others how to respect theirs. And the ones who are ready to rise will rise with you. The rest will fall away. Not because you pushed them out, but because your energy no longer creates a space for them to hide. You've become too clear, too honest, too activated. And people will either grow or go when faced with that kind of frequency. Let them choose. Your job isn't to carry them. It's to carry your truth. And your truth is sacred. It's been carved through pain, shaped by surrender, refined through healing. It wasn't given, it was earned. And now it lives in your aura like a crown you don't need to explain. You don't wear it for validation. You wear it because you remember who you are. And that remembrance is the real power. Because when you remember who you are, the world begins to remember too. It remembers to treat you differently, to respond to you differently, to open doors where there were once walls. That's the power of alignment. It's not something you have to enforce. It happens naturally, subtly, undeniably, and all you have to do is keep choosing it every day, every breath, every moment you return to yourself. Because returning to yourself is the practice, and your aura is the reward. It glows when you choose love over fear. It expands when you speak your truth. It sharpens when you rest without guilt. It strengthens every time you honor your no, your yes, your need for space, your need for silence. And it becomes more and more potent the less you try to be anything other than exactly who you are. That's what the world needs. Not more perfection, not more performance, more presence, more honesty, more people whose energy doesn't collapse under the weight of approval. People who know how to stand in their frequency like a mountain, unmoving, grounded, sovereign. You are becoming that mountain, rooted in purpose, unshaken by opinion, alive in your own truth. And from this space, your life can only evolve. Your vision becomes clearer, your voice becomes stronger, your desires become simpler but deeper. You stop craving attention, you crave alignment. You stop needing noise, you crave peace. You stop proving you just exist and your existence is enough, more than enough. It's holy. And when you live like this, you become impossible to ignore, not because you're loud, but because your energy speaks before you do, and what it says is everything. You didn't come here to blend in. You didn't come here to dim, to shrink, to doubt, to chase. You came here to remember, to awaken, to emit a frequency so true, so rooted in soul, that anything less begins to fall away on its own. And that's exactly what's been happening. Slowly, beautifully, relentlessly. Not because you're becoming someone new, but because you're unbecoming everything that was never really you. You've peeled back the layers of protection, the masks of survival, the stories of scarcity, the illusions of not enough, and what's left is essence. Not flashy, not loud, but undeniable. It's the kind of presence that can't be described, only felt. And it's been building within you for years, lifetimes, waiting for this exact moment to emerge. That moment is now, because now you're not just aware of your energy. You're living from it, you're trusting it, you're creating from it. And people are noticing, not because you asked them to, but because when someone steps into full energetic coherence, the world around them must respond. That's not theory, that's natural law, that's resonance in action. So when people pull away, when technology glitches, when memories fade or timelines collapse, you no longer panic. You understand. You smile, sometimes even laugh, because you can feel it. Your frequency is shifting realities. Your aura is becoming so crystalline, so commanding, that the old can no longer hold its shape around you. It has to dissolve, and in its place, something higher forms, something that looks like alignment, that feels like home, that walks like truth. And yes, this level of clarity can feel lonely at times, but it's not the loneliness of isolation, it's the sacred solitude of clarity, of being able to hear your own soul again, and from that space connection becomes something entirely different. It stops being about filling a void. It starts being about expanding into truth. You begin to crave depth, realness, frequency over familiarity, and suddenly, small talk doesn't satisfy. Fake smiles don't land. You want eyes that see, words that mean, presence that heals. And the more you live from that desire, the more you call in people who live that way too. People whose auras match your growth, whose energy doesn't compete but complements. Not mirrors of your past, but gateways to your future. That's what your aura brings now. It doesn't just protect you. It doesn't just guide you. It builds your reality around your highest truth. And all of this is only the beginning. Because the more you honor it, the stronger it becomes. The more you live from it, the more it teaches you. It starts to guide you in ways your mind can't comprehend. You'll feel when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to hold silence, when to leap and when to let go. You'll feel energy shifting before events occur. You'll wake up with downloads that make no logical sense but unfold with perfect clarity days later. You're not just intuitive anymore. You're energetically sovereign. You don't just read the room, you shape the room. You don't just protect your peace, you embody peace so deeply it becomes contagious. And people will feel that. They'll crave it. They'll return to your presence not because of what you do, but because of how you make them feel. Safe, seen, steady, awake, and still. You will not carry them. Because your aura no longer entertains codependency. It supports empowerment. You reflect back to people the truth they've been avoiding. And that reflection is medicine. Sometimes it's bitter, sometimes it's sweet, but it's always sacred. This is your gift. Your presence has become a portal. Your life, a living activation. And you don't need to monetize it. You don't need to perform it. You only need to live it. Fully, fearlessly, faithfully. Because what you are now, who you are now, is needed. Not by everyone, but by those who are ready. Those who are on the edge of remembering. Those who are one conversation, one glance, one energetic shift away from rising into their own light. You'll meet them, and you won't even need to say much. Your aura will do the work, just like others once did for you without knowing it. That's the beauty of energy. It doesn't require permission, it doesn't require words, it only requires presence. So be present, be here, in your body, in your breath, in your knowing, and let your aura do what it was always designed to do. Illuminate, not just for others, but for you. Because you're still growing, still shedding, still expanding, and your aura will continue to evolve with you. It will stretch, pulse, adapt. It will lead you into rooms your mind doesn't yet understand. It will align you with missions you never saw coming, and through it all it will remind you your power isn't something you access when you're perfect. It's something you embody when you're present. And right now, you're present, you're here, you're ready. Not for more effort, but for more alignment. Not for more doing, but for deeper being. Not for the old chase, but for the new truth. And here it is. You don't need to wait for some future version of yourself to begin living as light. You already are. The shifts are already happening. The resonance is already humming. The energy is already moving and the world is already feeling you, so own that. Move with that, speak from that, walk with that. Let it be your compass, your code, your currency. And let anyone who doubts you feel the full weight of your presence, not through argument, not through resistance, but through the undeniable frequency of someone who knows exactly who they are, because now you do. And your aura, it speaks for itself.